You thought you were schizophrenic. Hello and welcome to the weekly crypto review. So yeah, let's just go ahead and take a look at what's going on with the charts. First off, we'll look at the market caps and what's going on. Bitcoin, just we'll call it break even for the week, up 0.04%. Not unusual, not unexpected. It's about, as you can see, it's about the only thing that is up in the top 10. And let's just go ahead and take a look. So here's the weekly chart, and I've got a triangle in here. It looks a little better on the daily. And if you'll notice, it is not quite equilateral. This would be equilateral. It's slightly pointing up. That's a bearish triangle, which means that, as I said last week, the chances of going sideways or down are increased. So at some point here in the next few days, week or so, when it gets over here towards the end, I expect it to drop more. We have, if you look at the weekly candle, at least at this point, with 8 hours to go in the week, we've got a red candle. It looks like a hammer. Might even be a hanged man. We'll see. We won't know if this is a hanged man until after next week's candle completes. But again, the hanged man, that's a reversal signal. So yeah, I suspect that Bitcoin is going to drop. I've been saying this for a couple of weeks now, and I have not seen anything in the charts change my mind. We are currently in a pattern that seems to indicate that Bitcoin is going to drop. Where to, I don't know. I won't be surprised if it's a 30 to 40% drop by the time all is said and done. That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Okay. Now, let's take a look at a couple other things. Let's see here. What did I want to look at? Let's see here. ADA. So, on the daily candle, I've got another triangle. This one is an equilateral triangle. Which way is it going to break? Is it going to break out or is it going to break down? I don't know. But we're getting very close to the end of this one. Hopefully, and we're looking at the daily candles here, hopefully it breaks out. That would be great. I don't think that's going to happen, especially if Bitcoin breaks down, because where Bitcoin goes, altcoins tend to follow. That's just the way it works. When I look at ADA, I look at the RSI, and I see that it is at 54.92, so it is just above middle. So it really isn't overbought or oversold. It is showing that it is right in the center of the RSI. Okay, so that is a signal. And I also see on the MACD that we're starting to work our way back up. That's a sign that it's probably going to go back up. I think that's a good possibility. I really do. I mean, when we look at Bitcoin, we look at those two same. All right, so we've got the RSI over here at 58. This is on the daily. Okay, it could come up. And we've got the MACD working its way back up. Okay, so on the daily, it looks like it might come back up. But we look at the weekly. On the weekly, we are way oversold. 82.64. I'm sorry, we are way overbought. And so, and again, we're now starting to work our way back down. Okay. It's possible that by the end of today, that this changes to a green candle. It goes continues to go back up, but I don't think so. We've got the spinning top 2 weeks ago. We had a nice green candle here, but now we've got this hammer or hanged man, depending on what happens next week. We won't be able to tell this is a hanged man until after next week's candle is complete. But we're starting to look like we're going to work our way back down on the MACD, and we are way overbought on the RSI for the weekly. That tells me that we're going to come down. And so let's take a look at, where we go, ADA on the weekly, and we've got similar, not quite the same, but similar. Actually, the MACD has leveled out. If you look, this week's and last week's are exactly equal. That's that's not a good sign. Typically, that indicates that we may have reached a peak and we may be working our way back down again. The RSI is at 64.3, so it's a little elevated. And so again, we could certainly see ADA breaking back down on the weekly candle. When in doubt, zoom out. That's something you'll hear a lot of people who do chart reading talk about. The daily looks good, but the weekly looks like we need to relax and drop back down a little bit. And I have to go with the weekly because I am looking at a longer term trade. You know, I'm seeing some of these guys who talk about longer term trades like I do, and they're looking at the 4-hour chart. Why are you looking at the 4-hour chart? Well, because it seems to prove their thesis. Well, their thesis on a 4-hour chart when they're looking at trading in months doesn't make any difference. Don't care. I'm going to look at the daily and the weekly. Hell, I might even look at the monthly. Let's take a look at the monthly and see what it says. All right. Boy, this is... So here's a monthly chart for ADA, for Cardano. And okay, there's not a whole lot there at this point. Okay. But again, I'm not going to look at the shorter term time frames. There's no point. Why would I look at an hourly or 4-hour chart when I'm looking at the end of the year as my exit point? Makes no sense. And quite honestly, as we've shown, the daily chart, it looks quite different. It looks good. RSI is good. The MACD is good. We've got green candles here. We could break out. Well, yes, we could. But then again, we're looking at longer term. We want to look at the monthly or the weekly, and the weekly is saying, we're going to drop back down. So on the short term, within the next week, we could certainly break out of this triangle. Longer term, I think chances are better than even that we're going to break down and we're going to drop down in price again. I'm not concerned. That's the other thing. I am not concerned about dropping down. Even with Bitcoin, I am not concerned. Let's see if I can find it again. Here it is. I'm not concerned about this breaking down. I am not concerned at all because I know that in the longer term being the next 12 months, next year, this time next year, I know that Bitcoin is going to be worth 5 to 10 times what it's worth now. Not concerned about what happens the next week. And that's why I do these weekly videos. I could do a daily video, but what's the point? I'm looking long term. I'm looking farther in the future. Now, as we get closer and closer to that point, I may start making more and more videos on a weekly basis because, at that point, it would be worthwhile. It would be worthwhile for me and for you to have me and talk about what's going on on a daily basis because we're in a bubble and we're getting close to the end. None of it will ever be financial or investing advice. I'm simply pointing out what I see and what I'm doing. But I can see where it might be of use to someone for educational purposes. At this point, we're looking long-term, weekly. Not concerned. I wonder what the monthly looks like on Bitcoin. We certainly have a lot more data here. Okay, so monthly. You see the flagpole here? This is the beginning of the flag, and I suspect it looks a little different here because we've got the flagpole is here, so it's a little bit slanted. But we've got a bear flag. That's what we're looking at is a bear flag. So I fully expect that Bitcoin in the short term, next few weeks, end of January maybe, it will be dropping. I think that it will probably be March or April before we get back up to all-time highs again, which is exactly where I said we would be a year ago, 2 years ago. So while I couldn't forecast exactly what was going to happen as far as it coming up to all-time highs and dropping back down and come back up, I did say that I didn't expect us to break all-time highs until April of 2021, and I suspect that's going to be proven true. So that's what I've got for you this week. Not a whole lot of anything, just simple reassurance that this is okay. Everything's going to be fine. Remember, don't trust, verify. I'll talk to you later.